again, and welcome to the Author Roundup. This special segment of the Book Connection Show showcases emerging indie authors who join us for a discussion of their newly published books. Join us for a conversation with our next guest author. Hi there, thanks for joining me today on Author Roundup. My name is Emma, and I will be your interviewer for this episode. Today I have with me self-published author J.R.R. Aleman. J.R.R. is a journalist and storyteller whose debut fantasy novel, Journey to the Heart, Book 1, blends adventure with deep questions about identity, purpose, and what makes us human. His work bridges the everyday and the epic, drawing from faith, family, and a lifelong love of story. Today, we're stepping into the world he's created and the heart behind it. Hi, how are you today? Welcome to the show.
I'm all right. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Well, can you start out by telling us a little bit about your fantasy novel?
Yes. So this book is about a 16-year-old girl named Winona de Leon. She's our protagonist. Um, and she has questions about life. She struggles with things. She's curious about things, as I think all people are at that age. As a teenager, you just find curious. You want to be a grown-up, but you don't know quite how to fill those shoes. And something that I think people all struggle with about this is trying to find your voice, trying to find your place, and all that stuff. And that's something that she doesn't know she's struggling with, but her actions speak to that in the book. And so she's swept off into this fantasy world where she begins to um, see that in her life and begins to actually see the struggles face to face that she has. Like they manifest in certain ways and things that she has to overcome for her to, you know, come out of that, defeat whatever struggle she has in front of her. Like say it's doubt or fear or something like that.
Okay. And so what first inspired you to create this character of Winona de Leon?
To tell you the truth, it was my kids. My kids
Oh, nice.
inspired me to write this. I've read fantasy stuff all the time. It's like my favorite genre, adventure fantasy. I love stuff from George Macdonald. I love Tolkien. He's the master, obviously. It's like, and then C.S. Lewis is another a big one for me. Those are like my top three, my
The
personal,
classics.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are my personal. So nobody get offended. That's my top three
Yeah.
for my life. But I also do comic. I read comic books. I read graphic novels. I read manga. I read history books. I read all these type of things, mythology and everything. And my kids inspired me to write this because I was just kind of looking at them one day, and they were playing, they were talking, they were just being with each other, and it's just I just started thinking about like what would it be like for them to grow up to be like this teenager.
Mhm.
And, let's say that they have a perfect parent. They have role models, a mom that does this incredible work in her community. Her dad does incredible work in the community. What if they grow up, they don't know how to fill those shoes? What if they grow up and they don't know they have these struggles, these silent struggles, and they're not saying it to nobody. So that kind of inspired me to write this. And obviously being reading fantasy it just comes out like that naturally.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, ultimately I wanted to write a story that would have them deal with something like that. But it just came out that way. That's what put the seed for it. But
Mhm.
obviously, every story grows into something new when you finish it.
Yeah. And so how old are they now?
When I started, my youngest was in kindergarten, and my oldest, I think, was in like third grade or something when I started writing it during the pandemic. Which is a tough time for all of us. But a friend of mine challenged me because we were reading, we had nothing to do. We talked on the phone all day,
Yeah.
all night sometimes, 3 in the morning, just the phone call. And he lives on the East Coast, so the huge time difference, but we had nothing else to do. So we just talked about stuff we were reading. We started like a little book club, just me and him, without knowing it. We
So
were
many
just
book
having
clubs.
conversations, and then he challenged me. Oh, why don't you try to write a book? And I was like, hey, why don't you then? So, so we just started with the idea, then we started talking about what we were writing
Mhm.
about. And then eventually I was able to finish it after life came back. We started coming back outside and everything like that. And the pandemic seemed to kind of like dwindle down. But I was able to finish it, I think, like 5 years later.
Mhm.
Um, the first story, and now I'm working on the second one, which is I'm excited for as well.
Very cool. I love that you drew inspiration from your kids as, young kids because they inevitably will become teenagers and, all teenagers deal with certain things. So I love that you, kind of already thought about like their future and things that they can struggle with because, they all do struggle with things. And as parents, yeah, like you said, sometimes we don't know like what they may be struggling with. So I love that you wrote a book, specifically for teens. I love that. Um, so Winona, she, like you said, struggles to find her voice in the story. Were there any parts of Winona's struggle drawn from your own experiences or observations?
I would like to say yes. Um, I think every author puts themselves in certain situations.
Yeah.
When they're writing it, they just come out, things from that you remember from your life, and you kind of spin it to match the story. I think that's like part of the writing process. Um, but you also don't want to make that character just you. You want them to
Yeah.
be their own character to make sense for the story. But yeah, I did draw on things of my childhood. Characters in the book are based off, well, I don't know if I want to say, but are
You can
based
go
off
ahead.
people that I know in real life. Some of
Yeah.
them, not everybody, and some stuff is stuff that has happened to me, that I remember vividly in my life. But again, yeah, it's just life itself is just something that you have to draw from
Yeah.
as a writer to be able to put a pen to paper, to be able to put to make these characters come alive and make sense, have their own motivations and things. It's funny because when uh, this is I sometimes I would like get emotional about things that Winona would be going through, like
Mm.
as if she's like this real character to me. Like I created this character and like she became so real to me, and her struggle um made me emotional. It made me
Mm.
sad sometimes. I would have to stop and just like cry for a second. I'm not even gonna lie, I had tears. I was welling with tears, and it was like strange to me because I've never felt that before. Reading
Yeah.
other stuff, yeah, but like writing it for yourself, like wow, this is really means something to me. Like sometimes you don't realize um what you have in your heart until it comes out, and I think that's part of this, the part of it as well, of what Winona's struggle was. And again, that's probably was part of my own. It's like it's so hard to bring what's in your heart out in
Yeah.
front of people, because you don't know how it's going to be received. You don't know how people will react to it, and it's like bottom line is you can't control that. You just have
Yeah.
to
Right. Yeah. It's out of your
you just
control. You're
you
right.
just have to do what you think is right in the moment, and then whether it's a consequence or reward doesn't matter. It's just going to come, and then you
Hmm.
got to deal with that. You got to deal with that situation. So you can't be afraid to say what's in your heart, and I think that's the point. At some point, yeah, we listen to everything, and I think that's the biggest thing. Like all of us listen to what everyone has to say sometimes, and we never actually say anything.
Hmm.
And that's, I think, part of what Winona's character is. It's like she has these things in her mind that she says in her mind to herself and looks down on the world inside, but then
Hmm.
outside she doesn't say anything to nobody about what she's feeling, and that's part of the struggle too. And I think that struggle has no prejudice of age.
Mm. Yeah. Right.
We all do that, and this adventure takes that task on for whoever's going to read it. So yeah, while it's a 16-year-old protagonist, anyone can read this and be like, yeah, I remember that. Or maybe I'm going through this right now in something, because we all have stages in life, right? Where we're changing careers or having babies or something else. We're always some type of stage in life is changing our life in a certain way, and sometimes we struggle to fit into those situations. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's something that I love to talk about. It's the
Yeah.
human condition,
Yeah, right.
100%.
Yeah. So that seems like to be the biggest theme in your book. Is that something that came organically throughout your book, or was that something that you really wanted in the beginning? I know you mentioned that you love fantasy, but was there like a vision of what type of fantasy book you wanted, or did it turn out to be more emotion based and human conditioned, like,
Yeah,
maybe tough to read at times?
I kind of feel that just shot from the hip, just
Mhm.
I freestyled it, and I know that I don't know, writers will be like, no, that's frowned upon. You can't just write. Like, well, I mean, that's part of the writing process. Sometimes you have this big plan, and then it doesn't
Yeah,
always
right.
go according to that plan,
Exactly.
and then all of a sudden, sometimes you just have to write. I've noticed that like so no, I didn't plan it. To answer your question, the simple
Right.
answer is no, I didn't plan it. Um, I did have just I had something in my heart to come out, and sometimes you just have to write until something makes sense on the page that you're looking at.
Hmm.
And that's exactly what happened. It just started making sense. Something clicked. I love history. I love philosophy. I love theology. I love books, all kinds of books. I read them. For the first part of my life, I didn't. I hated books. Oh my goodness, it was like a struggle to read
Right.
books altogether. Like I did not care about books for the longest time in the first part of my life. And then when I started appreciating them, I was like, wow, I missed out on so much. I could have had
Right.
read
There's
this
so many books
book
out there.
at this age.
Yeah.
I could have read certain books at like early on in my life, and it would have been great. But as now I'm experiencing as an adult, all these books that were meant for children. And that brought out another thing in me about fairy tales, because I
Mm.
love George Macdonald's fairy tales. Like they're so like the innocence in them, I think is great. People will love Tolkien for his world building, but I
Mhm.
think I praise George Macdonald in his fantasy writing for the innocence of his characters.
Mhm.
It just seems so simple, so
Yeah.
basic. And I think that's something that is very necessary today. People to reflect on these fairy tales, what they were meant for to begin with, like
Mhm.
warnings. Just like this, you have a struggle, here's a warning. What happens if you let that struggle take over?
Mhm.
Something like
Yeah.
that. It used to be, I think fairy tales used to be more literal in the way of like, don't go that way because there's like a wolf over there or something, and they'll
Yeah.
paint it in a story or something. But now I think we have this like mental struggle a lot,
Mhm.
these emotional struggles because everything is so easily accessible.
Yeah.
Social media, all these things, the news, everything is that we have these mental and emotional struggles, and I think so fairy tales have to change to and adapt to those type of conditions to help people through those things, which
Yeah.
is like identity, finding your voice, all those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, definitely a lot of more children's books about like big feelings and yeah, emotions like you said and being yourself and being, super kind to everyone. Yeah, definitely
Yeah,
more of that.
and grounded for
Mhm.
sure in
Mhm.
something. It has to be grounded in right and wrong. It's like it can't just
Mhm.
be a fantasy novel where everyone's a hero. That
Yeah.
doesn't happen. There's
Yeah,
bad
it
guys we have
doesn't.
to face. There's dragons that we have to defeat. There's monsters that come out that we have to defeat. And while we're scared of those things, it doesn't mean they're unbeatable. We just haven't found a way to beat it yet. And that's I think something that is very necessary for
Mhm.
youth, for kids, for adults now that are growing up with these mental and emotional struggles,
Mhm.
these crippling things. Sometimes I see people struggle with that where it just like makes them stand still. They can't function.
Mhm.
And that's a shame because that's like, wow, you're so completely paralyzed by this fear or this doubt. Um, and yeah, you can, it's okay, it's fair to feel that, but eventually you have to let that go and fight this monster fight
Yeah,
this
and not let
demon,
it consume you. Yeah.
something, yeah, because it can grow into something way bigger in your life. And ultimately that's what this story's about. And but it's also about something of what is it that helps you overcome those things though? Because you need a weapon to fight the beast, right?
Yes, you need tools, you need
Yeah,
methods to help you. Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So it's always that. And Winona goes to this other world. She meets this character named the Supreme King. He brought her to the world. And and she meets him for like the first time, but feels something from him that she's known him for a long time.
Mm,
And that's something that I've had in me because I believe love is something so important in this world. It's something like if you believe you are loved, if you are able to love other people, the you know what love feels like, what love tastes like, what it looks like, what is it pure, things like that. I think those are the things that ultimately that's the thing that helps us ultimately overcome
yeah,
these
completely.
struggles, these monsters that we're facing. And I
Mhm.
say monsters because it's a fantasy world, and it's like you're gonna have monsters, you're gonna have bigger people, the characters that are bigger than the protagonist, but the protagonist has to overcome somehow. They can't lose because there's
Mhm.
too much at stake.
Mhm.
It's usually the end of the world. That's the end of the
Yeah,
world, that's what's
yeah.
at stake. And it's like, so the protagonist can't be defeated by this thing that's in front of them.
Mhm.
And they have to remember something in the moment that they've been told, some instruction, that they've been told will help them overcome. And sometimes we forget when we're faced with an obstacle. Uh, but the moment we just reflect, calm down, and understand that instruction of like this feeling we've had, like, oh, maybe I am loved, maybe I am accepted, maybe I am um, more than what I think,
Mhm.
or maybe I'm not what those people say I am.
Mhm.
Um, you know, that can help us overcome those things if we remember that.
Yeah. And so your book introduces, readers to kingdoms and foes and allies. How did you approach building this fantasy world?
Man, that's a tough one because again, like I said, I love the simplicity of George Macdonald. Like his world building has had simple rules. Tolkien, obviously, the master of world building, and there's been others that have, built worlds after him that have been great.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, he's the blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I don't see that's hard to talk about it negatively, but it's too much sometimes. It's like a lot. And for him,
Yeah.
he's just a genius that just created a language and decided to build a world around it. We don't
Mm-hmm.
all have that. You know, he
Yeah.
had that in him.
Uh-huh.
And again, I had to put on paper on the page what I had in me. And
Yeah.
for me, the simpler themes, I think, were easier for me to write about.
Mhm.
So while there's like lore poetry that builds the world in the book and stories that build the world and characters that are mentioned but in passing that they did something. So there's is world building in it, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not like a Tolkien-esque type of world building where it's like this Middle Earth. Maybe we'll see in the future. I'm not ruling it out. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not
Only book
ruling it
one.
out. Yeah, I did create a map for it to help guide me on the adventure that they will take in this one and the next one and the ones after that, and we'll see what happens. And so again, can't build the world in one book.
Mhm.
It takes multiple volumes to build something like that, and that's the testament to Tolkien. But for me, yeah, I think keeping it as simple as possible.
Mhm.
I think it's the C.S. Lewis approach. Like C.S. Lewis had these great things to say in Narnia and his fan and even his sci-fi trilogy that he has, and he created these characters, these things, but kept them simple in its way, where it's kind of like just kept the reader's focus on what's important. What is he trying to
Yeah.
say to me? What is this character going through, rather than saying what's beyond the hill that this character's
Mhm.
looking at.
Yeah.
And all of that. Well, that's great. That's not anything wrong with it, but there has to be purpose
Yeah.
behind
For
it.
sure.
Um, and that's the thing. If you can build a world like that, go ahead. all power to you, you know. But I think that's just every writer has to find his way in
Well,
into
yeah.
it and let it develop organically.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hoping. I'm not, like I said, I'm not ruling out the world building. So no, I didn't plan anything out like that. I did the one thing I did do is names. I love names. I
Mm.
love names, different names. I did mix different languages together to create names
Oh, cool.
for certain things in the book, which I thought was really cool. Will people get that? I don't know. I just think it looks cool on the page.
Yeah.
So, and I
That's
thought, me as a reader, I like having fun trying to pronounce names. Like people just go over the names sometimes. I've seen like TikTok
great. Yeah.
videos of that. People, when you're reading a book and you don't even
You
read
skim
the
it and you can't say
you
it out
you
loud. I've
can't say it
definitely
out
like
loud.
been through
It's
that.
like
Yeah.
it's the funniest thing to me.
Yeah.
But again, that's part of the fun of it. It's like, oh, that's it. And then you go back. For me as a reader, I go back later and I read it and I'm like, okay, how do you really pronounce this? Like it's
Right.
important. It comes up again. I need to know this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I try to do that with names and yeah, it was a fun time. Also I kind of I don't want to say it was like a struggle. It was kind of difficult at times to like pinpoint names for characters.
Mm.
Certain ones, certain characters. I'll leave that up, you know, I won't say who, but but certain characters, yeah, were tough and sometimes simple again works
Mhm.
better. Don't
Yeah.
overcomplicate it because sometimes even a name could be distracting from the story.
Yeah.
And then do you want them to focus on the name or what's happening?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so yeah, but it's fun. I love
Yeah.
names. Those are
Okay.
that's like I'm a name collector. I
Yeah.
love names.
Where did the name Winona's inspiration come from?
Um, I liked I liked the letter W. I just liked it.
Hmm.
Um, and so I that initially I said I just wanted to start with the W, and then I started looking for um names with W, and I wanted her to be a Latino character. Her last name is De Leon.
Hmm.
So I was like, what would make sense? I don't want just some generic
Like
Latino
Winifred
name
or
or
something.
yeah, or some
So off base.
fantasy epic name, and her last
Yeah.
name don't make sense with it.
Yeah.
But Winona to me made sense. It made sense to me. It's I was looking, what was I looking? I was looking at baby names. I felt like I
Mhm.
was hunting
Good
for
place to
names for
start.
my kids again. It was kind of funny. And I found out it does mean like wind or something like that. And I think it does make sense because for me, it's like a character that gets carried out by the wind. But then her
Mhm.
last name kind of puts a stop to it because it's like it's a de leon. She's of a lion. You know,
Mhm.
it's like to translate it, it's like she's the wind of a lion or something like that, which like it's to me it screams like she's like really strong. It's like a
Yeah, for
strong
sure.
character.
It's a very
Um,
strong name.
but she just has to step into it. You know, like I said, she has to fill her own shoes, not anybody else's, and she has to figure that out,
Yeah.
how to do that. So yeah, it took me a little while to to pinpoint her name because her last name came to me like that, and then I wanted a W, which is really hard to find a Latino name with a W, but
Mhm.
I found one that makes sense. Yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
obviously I think this is the funny bit where I had my mom read the name. And she has like an accent, and she's from El Salvador, and she has like an accent. And I was okay. If she can pronounce the name with no difficulty, I think it's fine. Like,
You're the
I think
test
it's fine.
mom.
My mom is my gauge for things like
I
that. She's my
love
gauge
that.
for things like that. So yeah, she put her stamp of approval on it, and I was like, okay,
That's
that's the one we're
awesome.
going
That's
with.
it. I love that. So without giving too much away, I know there's more books to come, but how does how does Winona grow over the course of her journey in your book from, both a protagonist and um a heroine and as a young woman, a
Yeah,
young teenager to a woman.
yeah. So. The characters that she first encounters obviously are her parents. Her
Mhm.
parents are a big part of her life, and she's a pianist, and she has a piano instructor, and he's like this. really pompous character. I had fun writing him, by the way. It was so fun writing him. He was such a jerk. He's such a jerk. He's such a jerk. And it was fun to write him. I don't know. I don't know. It
Sometimes
was
it's
so
fun writing
fun.
villains.
It was
Yeah.
so fun to write him, his dialogue, everything. But he's such a villain to me. And this is I kept it. I liked it because it's like it showed her real life before she was swept off. And it's kind of like I wanted to show that difference of like this is what it looks like in real life, what a villain looks like in real life, and here's
Hmm.
what it would look like in a fantasy world, to make it an adventure, which I thought was really fun to do. Um, but she overcomes, she hears all these voices, her parents, her instructor, and then she's swept off into this other world because the piano is the only thing that's ever made sense to her.
Hmm.
It's like it's a way that she expresses herself without words. It's just she understands what the piano is, and it's like her thing. Um, but she wants to be like this master of it. She doesn't know why though. She has no idea why she wants to be so good at it or why she's so good at it. And she doesn't, yeah, she's her understanding of why she wants to be great at piano just doesn't make sense to
Hmm.
her in her heart. So she's swept off to this land and becomes this hero. And she's like, "What? I just play piano. I don't even know who I am." Like
Why me?
yeah, like why me? And she struggles to find that, and she finds the answer like, "Well, why not you?
Love
Why
that.
not you?" It's just like, that's the thing. And that question to me came from a conversation with my friend that we challenged each other to write books. He's like, "Why not us? Why
Hmm.
not us? We love
Yes.
all these books that we're reading. I am not
Hmm.
prejudiced. Give me a good or bad book. I'll read it. I don't care. I'll enjoy it because I'll put it down, but that was great. Or, it was okay. They gave it a shot, but you have fun in the process. It doesn't matter. It's all learning. So why
Hmm.
not us? And that's where that question came with her struggle. How do you overcome that? You just got to keep going at it. You got to keep getting up, and you got to keep doing what you understand you should be doing in
Hmm.
the moment. So that's how she grows. She's get sent off on this adventure by the Supreme King to these kingdoms that she's going to visit, and she has to bring a message to them. And all along the lines, you know, stuff happens that she has to face. She has laughs, she has cries, she has great adventures. She meets like good. She meets good people, bad people. She meets monsters and not monsters and all kinds of animals. And she meets all kinds of things, sees all kinds of things. And at the end of the day, it's the mission. It's the mission that she has to keep at no matter what comes her way.
Hmm.
And that's how she starts to understand this. I need to keep moving forward. That's what I have to keep doing.
Hmm.
Then I think that's all I could say, honestly,
Yeah.
without
Yeah.
giving anything
Too much
away.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, if Winona could speak directly to readers who feel, unsure of their own voice or unheard, what advice do you think she would give to readers?
Don't be afraid of the unknown.
Mm, good.
You never know where it'll take you. Um, you can't live your life in fear. You can't
Mm,
do it. You can feel fear. Can't live your life in fear though, and that's because that's completely different. Being scared of a situation, being fearful of what's coming, or something might be coming. You don't know what it is it's all fair, you
mhm.
know. But when it finally arrives, you gotta figure it out. You can't just live in fear. You can't not do something because you're scared. Um, you just have to keep going.
Right.
So yeah, so just don't live in fear. And this is the biggest, I think, message of this book, of this first
Mhm.
one, is that because I think it's very, the fear is something that's just, it can overcome us so fast and so easy, and we don't see it coming. Um, yeah, so I think that's the biggest message she'd probably have for
Right.
her audience is the
Okay.
what she's going through in this book.
Mhm. And so I can't remember if you mentioned this. I know you mentioned during COVID, but when did you start writing your book during COVID, this book? Or the
Yes, I
idea?
started writing. So I started writing. I was going to school. I'm a
Okay.
journalist. I'm a journalist now. So I started going to school for that. And then in the midst of that, I had nothing else to do because we
So
were
much
just at
time.
home. And it's like, so I was reading, TV got boring. I was like, this is really dumb. Like, I'm done with it. I started listening to a bunch of audiobooks, doing stuff around the house, and sitting down and reading. I was reading like three, four books at once, listening to two and reading two, and then I was still reading comic books and stuff like that. So I was surrounded by stories, and
Hmm.
then I just started writing. Uh, school kind of got me started with that. I started with English class, and you got to write in that one, right? A few essays and stuff, and I kind of enjoyed it. I kind of enjoyed it. I like words. Words became like a puzzle to me that I
Hmm.
want to piece together, and that's how I
Hmm.
see it on the page. So it's like it's got to say a message, but it also has to be look cool to me on the page. It
Yeah.
has to look right, it has to fit perfectly. So to me, words are like a puzzle that fit together. It's a picture you're painting with words, you know.
Hmm.
So yeah, I started writing it and stayed up many nights researching. Um, yeah, researching stuff that I wanted to put in the book that I wanted to make sure like make sense, like weapons that they would use. I wanted to make sure that I use right language to like when they swing a sword, you can't just I'll just swing a sword, just keep repeating that.
Yeah,
You have
right.
to figure out different ways what noises things make. Like for example, like what's a tree sound like when you stab it different ways, like stuff like that. And researching things like that is super important. So I had many nights researching stuff like that,
Hmm.
clothes, and so it was a giant process of it.
Hmm.
And so writing is not the only thing of the writing
Yeah.
process. It's
Yeah.
research and finding the right words to describe things, I think is
Hmm.
another thing. And so yeah, so I started writing it in the pandemic and finally finished it not edited, completed the book one, the story of book one. I think it took me like 4 or 5 years
Hmm.
altogether because, like I said, I had to go back to work at some point and I couldn't put as much time anymore into it. And there was like, how long was it? I think it was like a span of like 6 months or something, maybe a little longer, honestly. I want to say, I want to 6 months to almost a year, I think, where I didn't touch it. I didn't
Oh.
think about it and nothing. I didn't think about it at all.
Hmm.
And in my mind, I was like, well, it's done, right? And then when I finally just pushed myself, get back to it, I just got up in the middle of the night and I just could not stop thinking about it. So I got up in the middle of the night, full of energy. I think it was like 2, 3 in the morning, and I came to my desk, opened up the file, and I started reading where I left off. And then I finished it. I finally finished it
Oh,
and then
nice.
started working on it, editing the whole process since then.
Hmm.
And it was great. I found like this renewed love for the story and everything, and then going back to reading it again, like from the beginning, was an amazing adventure for me. So,
Hmm.
um, and actually helped me develop more ideas for what's to come.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad you didn't just, put it away forever.
No, yeah, I mean, it kind of felt like that. I felt guilty.
Yeah.
It was like the weirdest thing. I felt guilty. It was like, here I have this thing that I put my heart and soul into, and like no one's gonna see it. Um, but at the end of the day, like it's got to be perfect, right? You got to give a good product to people. It's got to
Hmm.
make sense. But yeah,
Hmm.
I felt like I had abandoned it. I felt that guilt.
Yeah.
Man, I can't believe like was it a waste of time? Was I kidding myself? Again, that doubt, that fear starts coming back into you. Like maybe it's not good enough. That's why I even abandoned it or something like that. You start thinking all these things and but no, you rebuke that. You say, no, that's not, that's not what I'm gonna think.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah, I came back to it and I found this level. I was like, yeah, this is great. This is a great story. It's like, this is something I would read. I heard that once, like, write a story that you would love to read.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, because other people would love it. Like, I'm not the only one that loves C.S. Lewis, George Macdonald,
Hmm.
and Tolkien. It's like, so. Write a story that you would love to read, where you would love to see where these characters go, and I'm sure other people will as well. They'll find something in it, maybe something different from that I found.
Hmm.
Not maybe not everything that inspired each thing in the book will land the way I want it to, but as long as they get something out of it, I think is worth it's all worth it. It's
Yeah.
all worth it because you can't you're not gonna walk away from this book with nothing. And
Hmm.
that's a guarantee.
Love that. Yeah. What would your younger self think about you writing and publishing a book? I know you mentioned earlier that you didn't really read as much as you hoped to. What
Oh,
would your younger self think?
so for context, right? Um, my parents aren't from this country. They came over here and it was all Spanish at home. So I struggled with English for the longest time, and that's the reason I hated reading. I hated writing is because it was the hardest thing for me to
Mm-hmm.
overcome. My siblings say a different story, but this is my personal experience where it's like I hated reading and writing because of that. I struggled with it because it's literally I have to be two languages and I suck at one of them. I am not good at one of them in English. It was I was terrible at it. I didn't start speaking and reading English well enough until like toward the end of fifth grade, beginning of sixth grade.
Mm-hmm.
And sixth grade, I remember I started getting a little bit of love for it because I remember my teacher, she had us, I think like once a month or something, she would have like a story time where we would write a story and she would like turn off the lights, put on like ambiance music, and she would have us put our head down and she would like give us like an intro to some story, whatever it was, if it was like a spooky story or if it was some like real story, whatever it is. And she would talk for like 10 minutes and then she would give us like an hour just to write the rest of it. And that's the first taste I got of it. And I felt good about it because I started getting better at it.
Mm-hmm.
I was better at writing and reading now. So it's like spelling, maybe not there yet, but
Yeah.
at least in terms of understanding what I'm reading, understanding what I'm writing, it really helped push that forward for me. Um, so yeah, I didn't like writing it. So what me in fifth grade would tell me now, I didn't see it coming. You know, uh, or just wow, because I didn't
Yeah.
see it coming. I thought English was the most horrendous language ever. I hated it so much, and just again, just because of that, it's
Mhm.
the personal struggle of that, of just not being good at it because
Mhm.
all Spanish at home.
Mhm.
And my mom and dad didn't want us to lose that Spanish.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
super important to me. I'm teaching my kids now and teaching them why it's super important. Um, but also you got to be just as good at this other language. You can't be like me, So I'm
Yeah.
helping them with those struggles too,
Yeah.
that too. So it's being dual language is not a burden. It's great,
Mhm.
actually. I think it's a
Yeah.
plus to know
Yeah.
more than one language, and I'm blessed enough to say now, yeah. So my younger self, we didn't see it coming. I
Mhm.
didn't even see it coming. That's for sure.
What does your family and friends think of your book?
Um, I mean, my mom loves it. She's reading it. She's buying copies and gifting it to people.
Oh,
My dad's doing the same thing. He loves it. He was a huge encouragement of this and honestly helped me publish it as well.
nice.
Invested in the publishing of it. So I appreciate him for that. Other than that, my siblings, they loved it. They loved that I did something like
Mhm.
this, is the thing, and that I followed my passion for it. They don't understand all of it, obviously, in the sense of why I would sit down and do something like this, but that's my thing. Not everyone's a writer,
Yeah.
and that's fine. That's fine. Some of us are. But they love that I sat down and pushed through it.
Hmm.
And there's times that I would talk to them. I would stay up late on the phone with them and talk to them. I was stuck on some bit of a story, some part of the story, and I would talk to them about it, and they would help me. They would help me just kind of like me thinking out loud. They would sit there and help and let me vent.
Mm-hmm.
for these characters. I don't know where it's supposed to go and all these things. So they're happy that I was able to finish it and put the product out that I wanted, that I'm proud of. So they're
Yeah,
super proud of it,
that's
super
awesome.
supportive. My wife, my kids, they were the test group for me. One, I wanted to make sure that my kids understood it
Mm.
and writing it for this long. Now, right now they're 13 and 11,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to make sure that they could understand it. They could pick up the book and read it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they say I struggle with some of the words in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, I mean, I don't want to use another one. That's what I would tell them. That's the perfect word for that.
Yeah.
And I think that that's part of it too. I think it's if parents read it to their kids, they can teach them what these other words mean, and that's a whole nother dynamic of reading stories to your kids.
Mhm.
That the book adds to it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
That's
yeah, my wife and my kids were the first test group for it, and when they finished it, they loved it. My wife cried when she read it for the first time. She was the
Oh,
first one that she read it. I read it to her um, before it was even printed. It was just on my computer screen, and then she sat next to me, and I read her the whole story in a matter
that's
of
so
a
sweet.
few nights. And yeah, she was in tears by the end of it. So I'm happy. Those tears came from the story, and also because she saw how much effort it
Yeah,
went
I'm proud of you.
went
Yeah.
into all of this endeavor, which she's really proud of and super happy.
That's awesome.
So
That's
I'm
amazing.
excited. I'm proud. We're all
Yeah.
excited. We're all
Yeah.
proud, and honestly, just
Great.
looking forward to what happens next. This next part of getting it into people's hands and seeing their reactions to it. I think good or
Mhm.
bad, it don't matter. They're having a
Yeah.
reaction to it, and it's great. It's
Yeah.
literature. It's art. You know.
Yeah. Have you come across any feedback, or I mean reviews, online from readers?
No, not from this book.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Not yet. Right now, we're doing the advertising kind of like slow.
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
don't, yeah, it's like this is again, it's a part of life where it's kind of okay, I do want to invest more time into this, but right now I can't.
Yeah.
It's
You
like,
got other stuff going on. Yeah.
yeah, so it comes in stages
Yeah.
but we're slowly building a platform for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think TikTok is the next part that we're gonna do if the ban doesn't go through. I don't know what's gonna happen there. But we'll also have an Instagram, but we'll figure it out. Website's coming as well. We're building one, making sure it's good to go. But the book is out. People could buy it Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
Barnes and Noble, and also on Author House website. It's
Yeah.
on there as
Yeah.
well. So
Great. That's awesome.
yeah. So looking forward to this next part, just building it slowly.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not
It's
putting too
so
much
fun.
pressure on myself though.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
for me. I want to keep calm about it. I don't want to stress myself out. There's
Mm-hmm.
still work to do, but I'm willing to put it in. That's the
Yeah.
thing. I want to make sure I do it right.
Yeah. What advice would you give for a writer working on his or her first book?
Uh, don't worry about publishing yet. That would
Mm-hmm.
be the thing. Don't worry about it. Finish your product. It's finish your story and
Mm-hmm.
make sure that that's the story you want to tell. Because there's parts, I remember there were nights where I wrote some dialogue for characters, and it just didn't sit right with me. But I was done. I was tired at the end of the writing shift, right? I don't know how long I was at it, but I was okay. I'm done. I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
I need my brain needs to shut down. Need to go to bed. Because at nighttime was the my writing time, and
Oh, really?
it's just nighttime was my writing time. It just happened that way. Uh, for this book. So hopefully, I don't know. Who knows? Uh, right. It strikes when it strikes is the thing. Sometimes I would wake up out of my sleep, like I said, and just come right to my computer
Yeah.
and just
You won't
start and
forget
be here for
anything.
hours. Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, sometimes there was dialogue that I would write for certain characters, and then I would go to bed, but it didn't sit well with me. That I would come back and read it, and I'd be like, like yes and no,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would move on. And you would write the next bit because you can't just stay here. I would write the next bit of the story, And then when I was done with that, I would come back and read it. And it took me a few nights, and I was like, that's not what that character would say.
Mm-hmm.
If it just dawns on you, the what was said isn't necessarily terrible. It's just not what this character would say. And because it has the character has their own personality, and especially when they're dialoguing with the main character, it has to be something, it's an exchange with the character. We're meeting this character for the first time through the eyes of the protagonist, so they have to say something important or something silly, something that moves the story along, or something inspiring, something that the character will take with them. Otherwise, why bother with the exchange? Um,
Yeah.
so something that would sit with. I remember I wrote it and it sounded like a Winona asked the character a question, and this character said something in a really mean way. And I was like, told Winona some truths, but said it in the wrong way, and then and like I said, eventually I changed it. And when I changed it, I think it was like two or three sentences of dialogue that this character said in response to Winona. And once I changed it, that's better. It just sat well, like this weight was lifted, and I was like, that's that character. And
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly what Winona needs in this exchange right here. Um, you know, every character is important in a book, and nothing is wasted. Nothing is wasted. The main character is going to learn something from them. So for me, telling a person, don't worry about publishing, don't worry about
Mm-hmm.
selling your book, don't worry about nothing. You can start building a platform, sure, followers, talk about your book, maybe your writing process, all of those things. But also, if that's distracting, don't bother with it. The
Mm-hmm.
important thing is your story. Make sure it's your story that you're telling, what's in your heart. Don't tell anybody else's story. Don't tell anybody else's thoughts. It's yours. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's what I ultimately felt from that character. Those are somebody else's words. They're not mine.
Yeah.
That's what I felt. And I even showed it to a buddy of mine. I showed him the difference. I showed him each version of it, and he was like, I see what you mean. I see what
Mm-hmm.
you mean. Like he understood it
I
in
was
that
wrong.
moment, the why I switched it in the first place, because I showed him the first one. That don't sound terrible. Well, yeah, it's not terrible. If you can write, you can write. It's not going to sound bad, but
It could be
does it?
better.
Yeah, but it could be better. Does it fit the character? That's what makes it better. So
Yeah.
ultimately, if you want to write a story, make sure it's your story that you're telling. That's it. Just worry about your story. Don't even worry. Concern yourself with your story. Focus on your story, your characters. What you want to say needs to shine through. That's the most important thing, because if we're concentrating on what's coming next, like how am I going to publish this? How am I going to do it? You're never going to write your story.
Yeah.
You're,
Yeah.
you're never going to finish it, and you can't give at the same time, or you're going to finish it with other people's thoughts. Just
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna go through it half-heartedly, and that's not a good place to be in, because then you're gonna give it to the public that way, and then you're gonna realize that's not you on the page
Mm-hmm.
that they're
Yeah.
getting. And that's why we love all the authors that we love, because they gave us themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They put themselves into these stories, what they had to say to this world, and what they learned, how they saw it. And they weren't trying to convince us that this is the way the world works. They were just trying to show us what lens they view it through,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the point of reading, right?
Right.
That's why I enjoy reading. That's why I enjoy novels and things and stories, all of that, because you know, that's what we have to share. And I think every writer should concentrate on that. Tell your story that
Mm-hmm.
you want to tell, and let the rest come when it comes.
Yeah, yeah, great advice. What I don't remember if I asked you this or if I got to it, but what was your favorite part of your book that you wrote, or what was a part of your book that you're most proud of to write?
Oh man, there's a few actually. I like the ending. I like the ending
Oh,
of
okay.
this first one, but I won't talk about that because
Yeah.
y'all got to read it. Y'all got to read it to know why I like it. Um, I like when she meets the Supreme King for the first time.
Hmm.
I really love that. It's one of my favorite parts. I had written it out in non-story form.
Oh, really?
I just left it there. That's probably the only part of the book that I outlined, sort of. My form, my outline,
Your version of
my
outline.
version of what an outline is, right? Like, so, um, yeah, that's the only part of the book. I put it like I literally wrote like this is what she's feeling, this is what she's doing, this is this that, yeah, 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 and but it wasn't like poetic. There was no story to it at all. It's just kind of like boring, But I just left it there because I that's what I wanted to convey during
Mhm.
when she meets him for the first time. So that uh, when I finally did, I was struggling. That was probably the hardest part for me to
Mm.
write. That was probably the hardest part
Yeah.
for me to write. Her first encounter with the Supreme King.
Mm.
Because it was so important to me. This is like a pivotal moment in
Mhm.
Winona's story when she meets him for the first time because he's the one that's going to send her on this mission, on this adventure, and he gives her the instruct all of it. Right? So it's like, but before that, she has to meet him. What's the first impression that
Mhm.
she gets from him? What's the first impression he gets of her? All these
Yeah.
things. So that was super important to me. And again, I was thinking hard, too hard on it, and
Mhm.
I just went back to the basics. I made it something simple, and it worked. And once I started going with that, it started evolving into something beautiful to me. That exchange, and that's what made it into the book. That's
Mhm.
what made it into the book.
Nice.
So I'm really proud of where that landed. There's a few other moments, but yeah, there's a few other moments of Winona first arriving in Azenith, of the world that she gets, swept into.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, but that moment to me was the best one. I think it was the one I'm most proud of because it was the one I struggled with the most.
Most, yeah. Have you started writing on your second book yet?
Yes, I have started writing it.
Nice.
Um, yes, I have started writing it. I'm not too far into it. In my mind, I am. You know, the whole story's right here.
Right there. Don't
It's like
forget
right
it.
there. I just have to put it on the page. But yeah, I started writing it already. It's coming together, so I'm really happy the direction that it's going so far.
Nice. Is there the when you approached your second book, is it going to be different from the way you approached your first book, or is it just going to be the same? You're just going to do the same thing you did for the first one, or I guess how is it different writing the second book versus the first one? So,
Oh, um, well, I started writing it kind of the same way. I didn't outline it.
mm-hmm.
But I'm starting to think about that now a little more, like because it's the sequel. Well, it's the continuation of it. And it's my thinking is that I want to do like a three-part series.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to do because I think I'll be able to tell the whole story in three
Great.
parts.
Nice.
Um, so the second one, I might have to, I'm going to outline it a little more than I did the first one because I wanted to have, I wanted to go to a certain point because then I want
The
the,
rest for
the
the
third
last
book
one.
to start somewhere and end at the
Yeah.
ending that I have in mind
Mm-hmm.
already. So I want to make sure I give everything the second part needs for her next part in the adventure, which is all going to be fun. I have a lot of new characters. I've collected plenty of names that I want to put into this book. That's going to be super fun already, I can tell. But I'm already having fun. You get to meet some more villains, which is like, those are just, I don't know, they're fun to write because when the hero has to encounter them, one of them has to go down. It's like,
Yeah.
it's the villain or the hero, which one's going
Yeah.
down?
Yeah.
It's like, so you build them up to bring them down. I don't
Yeah. Yeah.
know.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm writing a few villains right now. The one part I will say that I didn't do for this one, I didn't do, what's it called? a character dossier. I didn't do anything of that for the first book, which is interesting.
What's that mean?
Oh, a character dossier is when you just like say Winona, okay, this is Winona, and then you just fill in things about the character, like her eyes are brown, her hair is black, or she's tan, or she's light skinned, she likes to wear dresses, or she likes to wear stuff like that, and things about
Mm.
her personality. What does she do for fun? You know, so the character dossier just does the basics of it's like just like a profiling the
Oh, okay.
character
Okay.
is pretty much I think the simplest way, and I think that's what I'll do for some, maybe not all the characters. The characters I really want fleshed out, I'll probably do that for this time around. So that will be a whole different part of the
Okay.
process for
Okay,
me.
cool. I didn't know that.
I do have in mind some characters I really want to do that for, because I think it'll help me flesh them out a lot more,
Nice.
especially in this story. Uh, because there's some stuff in the first one that was revealed that I have to get into the second one.
Hmm.
Um, so that for sure I have to make sure like it makes sense
Yeah.
to run
Yeah.
into that
Yeah.
into the later books. So yeah.
Those.
But more is coming too. More of that is coming because I do love like parables. I love short stories as well.
Mm.
And I even have that in mind. I was like, maybe to write a bunch of short stories about Azenith, about the kingdom of Azenith, and other characters that are in there that don't necessarily have anything to do with the main story, but just characters that live in the kingdom of Azenith, you know.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
cool.
like short stories of that. I would love to write a novel, like not a novel, a book of short stories of that would
Uh-huh.
be really fun,
That would
I
be cool.
think.
Yeah. Nice. Well, I think that's all the time we have today, but I do just have one last question for you.
Sure.
So I know fantasy is a very, wide genre, huge. There's so many different kinds of fantasy books, but what makes your book stand out? What makes your book different?
So, fantasy novels are not new by any means. And but in today's world, I think fairy tales have lost something that they used to have. They were created to warn children of the troubles life could bring and the choices that they could struggle with making. So these are lessons that I think both adults and children and teenagers need because this knowledge of thinking through these things for ourselves is a lost art
Mm-hmm.
in our world. And I could bring up a bunch of different reasons why I think that is, I don't want to go into all of that. Everyone has a reason why they think maybe people have lost that. But I think love of reading, love of story, um, and just trying to understand fairy tales because I've encountered people that have read some of my stuff, and I have gotten feedback before I published of
Mm-hmm.
people reading it and saying, "Why can't you just say things in a simpler way?" Well, because I can't give you the answers to the test.
Yeah.
Of
True.
course you want the answers to the test, but you got to go home and study. You got to make sure you understand the concepts, you understand the themes, you understand the narrative, you understand why this character did what they did. Maybe you won't look at them the way I look at them because I'm the one writing it, but you can at least understand what's going on
Mm-hmm.
in the story and why these characters ultimately made the choices that they made in the story. Um, Whether it was for good intentions or bad intentions, it doesn't matter. Each character has a choice to make. And I think our ability to think those things through, to
Mm-hmm.
think about this person is actually a bad guy. Like, and while I understand why he made his choice, that's a villain. Like
Yeah.
there's just no getting around that. We have to
Mm-hmm.
label things what they are.
Yeah.
Or trusting people. Like this is a good person right here. I understand why they made their choice. I understand why they're the hero. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people love anti-heroes now, right? And um, I love them too. They're great. You know what I mean? I love stories like that, taking vengeance into your own hands, like
Yeah.
Western style, stuff like that. But uh, and while those stories are fun, they're not fairy tales.
Mm-hmm.
They're not fairy tales. And what I mean by fairy tales is not something like, oh, it's a happy ending, like Disneyfying everything, And while those movies are fun and nostalgic, they don't teach anything of
Right.
reality. that fairy tales
Yeah.
actually do. Well, it's like you wrap reality in this fantasy. Like I said before, it's like you have this dragon that you're facing, and your dragon might be different from mine. You
Hmm.
know, your monster might be different from mine that you're facing, and that's the point. But
Hmm.
we're following this character face their monster and how they're going to fight it. And that's the thing, and we can learn something from that. Um, and I think that's what fairy tales have to teach. So I think that was my focus for this book.
Hmm.
And for all my writings in fantasy are like that. I want to come back to what fairy tales meant,
Hmm.
teaching children what's good and bad, anchoring them in that worldview of there is morality in this
Hmm.
world. And while we can understand people's motives and things like that, you can't let them off the hook for things, you know.
Yeah.
Um, being understanding and kind doesn't mean you let them off the hook. It's like, you know, oh, well, they stole something. We can forgive them. They still stole something.
Yeah. Right.
You know, just for something, an example. And fantasying it up, it could be something even more dramatic. You know, it could look something more dramatic, but at the end of the day, we can be forgiving, we can be kind, we don't lose ourselves, but we can't ultimately let people off the hook for those things.
Yeah.
And that means we embrace them as well, because we can make the we can through fairy tale we can show kids that and adults that have lost that, you know, how to embrace people again after they've made a mistake.
Yeah.
You know,
True.
not
True.
just let them off the hook. You
Yeah.
know, how do you reconcile things is the
Mhm.
other part of it. And like I said a little earlier in the interview, we have these thought process, you know, like we gotta figure out a way to bring these lessons to life to
Mhm.
for kids. And I did it for my children, that they were my focus and my inspiration for that. But I'm not the only parent that exists, you know. So I know there's other people like me, other dads that look at their kids and they're proud of their kids and look at their kids with loving eyes and they want the best for them. But
Mhm.
maybe they let them get away with too much. Maybe their kids are spoiled. We don't know. You know,
Yeah.
we don't know.
You know. Yeah.
Sometimes we worship our kids a little too much in a
Mhm.
sense, you know,
Yeah.
and they can't do no wrong. And fairy tales have a way to show us parents that too, where it's like maybe my kid is not where he needs to
Should
be.
I let them get away with that? Yeah.
Where he needs to be.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I forgot who said this. I think it was G.K. Chesterton, if I'm not wrong. I don't remember exactly. But I remember reading something where it said that like a 5-year-old will look at the door and have wonder, right? Like, and then they get a little older, the door opens, right? They don't go out the door, but they see that there's something out there and they're filled with wonder again.
Mhm.
And then they get older, they open the door themselves and then they walk out of it. And sometimes the wonder gets lost.
Yeah.
Um, all of those things. So it's kind of like, what is it that we're teaching our children? We
Hmm.
want them to keep that wonder, you know,
Hmm.
and that's what fairy tales, I think, really helped with.
Well, that's great. I love your perspective. I love the way you think about, the purpose in your book versus and also the purpose of your book. So I think that's great. Is there anything else that you would like to mention today?
Buy the book, enjoy it. I wrote it for you guys to enjoy, you know, and my kids enjoyed it, my family enjoyed it, and it wasn't just because we're family.
Yeah,
You're
right.
gonna get something out
It's
of
a
it.
great
You're
book.
gonna
Yeah.
get something out of it. Trust me, you're gonna get something out of it. So
Mhm.
just go buy it and read it. And hey, if you want to let me know what you think,
Leave a review.
I'm all
That'd
for
be
it.
great. Yeah. All right. Well, good luck with your book and your future books.
Thank you so much, Emma.
Yeah, thank you. And like he mentioned, you can purchase the book at authorhouse.com. We have an online bookstore. You also can purchase it on Amazon and Barnes& and Noble. And thank you for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time.